to Corbin's Coasters and More. I'm Corbin, and today I'm going over the top 5 elements of the newest roller coaster in the world, Velocicoaster. If you didn't see it, check out yesterday's video. There I give you my review, my reaction, show you through the queue line, and I attach a link to the only POV I know of. Speaking of, that is his POV, not mine, so any of the video clips you see, I'll leave a link to the actual POV in that. There's only one that I've seen on the entire internet. It's very hard to get in with a camera as you have to go through metal detectors to get to the ride. So there's a few POVs, but this is the only first one I have seen online at all. So that's the one I'm using. If anyone wants me to take it down, I'll take it down and replace it with something else. So I'm going to go over the 5 favorite elements of this ride, not including theming. So I'm going to do this just as a coaster enthusiast perspective, not really worrying about the Jurassic World part, which makes it even better. But I really do think this might be my new number 1, even without the theming. But I'm going to check that out in a couple of days when I go ride Mako, my current number 1, and I compare in my head which one I like the best. So let's get the count started. There are 8 total elements that I ranked for this listing. So that means 3 of them that were really great elements could not make it into the top 5. And so those were, believe it or not, the initial launch, where you're beside the Raptors, it pushes you and then pulls you. And that's the biggest thing. Like, it is a super strong launch for the very last part of it, but the first part of it is kind of a light launch. So that one barely missed my rankings. There's also a lateral airtime bump on the first big curve that gives you just a really good stomach drop moment. I love lateral airtime, and you don't find it that often, but not one of the top 5 parts of the ride. Another one that almost made it, really made me think, was the double up right at the end of the ride, a twisted double up going into the brake run headed toward the station. Now that those are out of the way, let's get to the top 5.
Number 5.
Number 5 is the inversion directly after the top hat. I don't know what to call this. I've never been on anything else like it. It is, you're rolling over halfway and you feel like you're going to come right back up, but it ends up taking you the rest of the way in a nice, jerky, smooth fashion. I love it. It's literally like nothing I've ever felt. Do make sure to control your head while you're on that, though. I banged it on the back of the seat pretty hard a couple of times.
Number 4.
Number 4 is the second launch that brings you up to 70 miles an hour, sends you up that top hat, the tallest part of the ride, and then you face 90 degrees down and go all the way down. It's fantastic.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me is the part when you come out of that little cave, you go up and you have a twist dive where you're just out of your seat and then you fall back into it. The only other place I've ever seen this exact inversion, which it's not exactly the same, but very similar inversion, is on the New York roller coaster. And that is why that coaster is as high as it is on my rankings, despite it being super rough. So I love this element.
Number 2.
Number 2 is right at the beginning of the ride. There is just this spot where you just bottom out completely. You fly up to the ceiling as you're coming into this cave with a roof that goes over you, and you feel like you're going to go headfirst into it and just die. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Number 1.
My favorite element, and I don't know if anything on any coaster beats this, is that barrel roll going 50 miles an hour right over the lake. You feel like you are this far over the lake. I'm guessing you're probably a good 5 or 6 feet, but it feels like you're just about to head chop in the water. And this is while you're still catching your breath from all the other stuff. This ride never slows down. It's freaking awesome. You should ride it for sure. Make a trip out to Islands of Adventure for that, especially if you haven't been on Hagrid's too, which is like right beside it. It is an amazing, amazing ride. I got to ride it 10 times the other day. Once at night. I didn't get to ride it like completely dark night, but I got a dusk ride. Even better, even some of the theming in the line changes when it turns to nighttime. So it's worth riding several times. It's definitely an intense ride. Don't expect it to be like Hagrid's. Don't expect it to be like a Disney ride. It is intense. It's a coaster enthusiast type of ride. I love it. So for now, it's either my number 1 or 2. I'm going to check out Mako again in a couple days. I'll let you know which one's number 1. And that might change again when I go to Cedar Point in 10 days and ride Steel Vengeance. So you'll, of course, see all about that one as well. Thanks for coming to Velocicoaster Week. Come back tomorrow for that Mako Velocicoaster face-off. And my first ever coaster face-off for number 1. Thank you for watching as always. This is Corbin's Coasters and More.